go ahead and fire away. Just some things, just a reminder, Project 1, I've decided that, I don't know if this is bad of me, but we'll have a 5-point penalty if you're not here that day. I feel so bad doing that, but it does create an incentive for being here, so if you aren't going to be here, or if something pops up, let me know. At 5 points, obviously, I don't feel really too comfortable about it already, but I think we do need to have some quote. I'm trying to think of the right term. It's a reward, I guess, for coming here and having to hear my critique in person, but also hopefully learn from others as we go. You'll get a snapshot of that today as I look over exercise 4. I'll then share everybody's, and then we'll hopefully learn some more as I, kind of explain also why I created that particular assignment. One of the things is we got the project. There is the little town that maps. I've heard from 2 people as far as what they plan on doing for Project 1. And the 2 have both been related to option 1. And as I was, 2 in the morning, up in the middle of the night, thinking about this course and thinking about how I need to teach it better and improve, I was thinking, you know what? I've never once taught you guys how to make dots or make lines on a map. Essentially, what you've always done is you've always we've used the Indy neighborhoods or the road networks, or we use someone else's stuff. We never ever have essentially done where we created our own stuff. And that's actually quite relevant for those who are grad students or those who actually are making the maps. You oftentimes will be creating or adding data, adding points, adding lines. And that's going to be one of the objectives I have with today, which is a newly created assignment, never been used before, so it's bound to have all kinds of problems. But we'll work through that. But as I go through that particular exercise, I do want to kind of keep that in mind that there are some things I'll be touching on that might be related to you in option 1. The other ones I've already explained. I'm not really going to spend too much time explaining them to you all again. So if you have not heard the further explanation of the project and the options, go back to, what was that, February 20th? Yeah, it was February 20th, so 7 days ago. We were here, right? Yeah. And so then you can go back and find out more as far as details and explanation there. All right, like I said, exercise 4, all but one. I shouldn't say that. We don't want to call that person out, but everyone, we've got the assignments here. Go ahead. So this is no particular order. So I'm just going to go through them. And so this kind of, touches on some bigger picture ideas. And so there's kind of some common problems, some common situation. I was trying to present you with some common problems and common things to think about. And so 2 main things is the labels, how to do the labels, but also kind of dealing with the problem that, okay, we have this underlying surface. This underlying surface that isn't really one harmonious color. Now, for the most part, if you zoom out, it is mostly dark green, dark brown, black, all the things we associate with the river, darker colors. But we look at this particular zoomed in, we see the common problem as far as we've got concrete, we've got white buildings, we've got, all kinds of different colored surfaces. So that was a key challenge to this one. So as I go through these, we'll look at some creative ideas used by you guys to deal with that situation. The other key problem regarding labels is, in this case, we had this funky text, this huge parcel ID number. But we have some irregular and quite varied sized polygons or parcel IDs or boxes. So it reminds me of Chris Farley. I don't watch a lot of Saturday Night Live, but back in the 90s was like a skit where it was like a big guy wearing a little coat. And so kind of the same idea here is big number, big text, and a small geography problem for us, and something we have to work with and something we have to negotiate. And so we are kind of stuck with the parameters that ArcGIS gives us. And so one of the things I did hear a couple different times is it would be nice, and you can do it via code, of course, it'd be nice if as we zoom in, zoom out, that the labels would also then kind of zoom in, zoom out, wouldn't be so much fixed to being a certain size. And that's something that, yep, duly noted, and with code can probably be done quite easily. And with AI now, we can find that code probably in an hour. Other things before I get going in this. Let's just go ahead and go through some. So here we see the use of a halo. So this was a very good solution to the problem we have as far as different color base imagery. And once again, we're kind of stuck with it. We wish we could do better, but we're stuck with that as the underlying base map. And so this was a good solution to that. As far as colors, this is using logically school colors, red and white. Since we kicked out Purdue, we're no longer, we no longer have that gold anymore. So we're more back to red and white. And so using school colors, especially very bright red. And so you're going to see very logical color uses as well. There weren't really any issues with color. Sometimes they do get students trying to be creative using different kind of colors and lines. You guys all, for the most part, as we'll go through, bright colors, obvious choices. Like I said, mostly dark color surface, so those lighter colors are going to pop out more easily. Your yellows, your bright reds in this case, cyan, magenta, those bright colors that really stand out. So here, good job as far as dealing with, and so also using the horizontal. And so here, okay, whoa. And so here, the problem is the text didn't stay in the geography, which is against the rules. But, I do like this in terms of coming up with that logical situation as far as we have this underlying imagery, which is all different colors. A solution, if you can faintly see it, is this pink transparent polygon. And so we still retain the imagery, but we can, for the most part, see the text better than we would have otherwise without that underlying. So this is one way to play with the polygons to make the text stand out. And so here using, in this case, Times New Roman. I don't know if it's Times New Roman, but it has serifs. We don't want to use that, especially in a digital application. So that's kind of one of the other kind of things to think about, especially there from Online Lecture 5. All right, and so here, very clean. So we have matching colors with the lines, so the lines and the text match, so there's logical. So here, I guess the alternative would be white text with the yellow outline, but anytime you're using a light outline, it's better often to have a darker text. So yellow and black work well together, so you'll see other students using that as well. And this is also noticed using a clean font. Not a lot of serifs, not a lot of extra stuff going on. In the digital world, that is what is preferred and what's easier to see. And so just another one. This is almost the same exact font, probably. So this is very good. School colors, same idea. If you're going to use that lighter outline, that lighter shadow, you need to use a darker infill, and vice versa. You're never going to want to use too lights and too darks. It can kind of get things washed out and make things not look as clear. The red outline, okay, yep, once again, that same, did they do? Yeah, and so here we see, yeah, that was cool. I like that. That's where we can see just a little bit of this polygon looks like tinted to make that little stand out just a little bit. So very, very faint transparency, but enough to make maybe stand out more than it otherwise would. So here's where we have different colors, but what we're doing here is this is a good job of using the wherever kind of fits the polygon. We're using what the land parcel option, I believe. And so most of you use the horizontal or the land parcel. The horizontal means it's always going to horizontal. land parcels kind of logically puts it in the center. This is something that came up there with exercise 5 with a few of you in terms of what to do with those peculiar counties: Switzerland County, Vandenberg County, Vermilion County. Those are peculiar counties that you have to figure out what to do with the labels inside the polygon. All right, continuing on. So we see, we all got the text memo for this semester in terms of using good logical font, nothing too crazy, nothing too wonky. So this one, the critique here would be the color of the line. Really doesn't make the parcel stand out, especially on that dark surface. Here, kind of the same idea. That cyan, that's really, going back here, even though, that cyan would really stand out even on that green. So even on that green, you think, well, they're similar colors. Well, it really would stand out, as you can see there. Oh, I didn't even, that's touchscreen. No, it's not. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. So there's the, if you've ever run the mini marathon, man, that takes forever. That last part, whew. All right, continue on. Oh, purple and yellow. So I believe this is the insightful person, probably, this has to be, who thought, well, I know my color wheel, and if we're going to do two things from, third grade, we learned about the color wheel and the opposites, complementary colors. They help to stand out. That's why tennis, they now use purple courts, is because the yellow tennis ball really stands out on those purple courts because they're complementary colors. They're opposites on the color wheel. And so that would be red and green, blue and orange, and yellow and purple being opposites. And so that's what this person did here, which I really liked, kind of that idea. So another one, using the mask idea here. So this, the mask, and then the mask was transparent. So now we're getting really deep. We're getting transparent masks beyond. So now we can see through the imagery, see through the mask and still see the imagery. All right, so that's my response to exercise 4. Hopefully others, we learned from that. Like I said, there's kind of the pedagogical, which is the kind of the reasons for it was as you learn in exercise 5, and you'll learn here in project 1 perhaps this kind of stuff, thinking about these things, label placement. Now you should be good to go. You should be ready to roll. All right, so let's go ahead and move it on to today, which I'm fully expecting to be a disaster, knowing how ArcGIS goes. Okay, so today it's all about application of module or online lecture 6, and that's something that is boring stuff. I mean, it's the reason why I just now finally got around to making an assignment for this stuff. Is because I put it off long enough, but we got to do it. Why do we have to do it? Is because this is how, with maps, we can see some screwed up things. We can get some bad data sets. And so oftentimes we'll get super excited because we get that one great data set finally at that workplace or wherever, and we want to throw it in the GIS, and it comes out and it's all screwed up. Key to that, one reason that we'll always come to first is it's probably the coordinate system or the projection, which is the problem. The coordinate system is the key problem there. So all I'm going to do is, as I kind of introduce some key cartographic things like putting points on a map and adding stuff to a map, I'm also going to try to incorporate and introduce you to where you find these things in the ArcGIS. So let's go ahead and fire it up. And as that's going, I'll go find our data. So there's data that's later on in this assignment from the Open Indy data portal. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to take spreadsheet data. So the idea here is I'm trying to come up with ways that you can add data to a map. And so we've been relying a lot on getting it from other places. Now kind of the idea is we're doing it ourselves. Okay, so Open Indy data portal, and by the time we're finished with this, we'll find the most recent year, the neighborhoods with the highest crime. That's our objective. So we're going to go up to the top and just do a search for crime, and they do a good job of not making it easy to find the most recent year available. So knowing what I know, I think 2022 is the most recent. No, it's 2021, I guess. All right, so that's the most recent. Oh, it was updated in 22. And so you'll see details about this. Something interesting is if you do open up the full details, you will find out things about kind of the data, where it came from, what it's about, and how many points there are. But for our purposes, we're going to download not the shape file. We're going to download, in this case, the Excel file. So all we're doing is downloading, in this case, a Excel file, which for any type of mapping activity in the future you might be doing, where you have an Excel file, or you create an Excel file, and that's how you get your data from point A to point B. Okay, let's take a look at this data. I just want to mention that we have to have something geographic. And in Online Lecture 6, I do talk about different ways, hexadecimal and decimal degrees. Well, here's kind of application of that stuff with the latitude, longitude in a table. So if a table, everybody wants everything mapped, but it's got to have something geographic. It's got to have, in this case, the lat, the long, and that's the key here. So we're going to come back to this data set, but wanted to get that while the ArcGIS is opening. So I'm going to create a new map. What were we on? Exercise 6? Oh my goodness. And so you'll look at the calendar, and we only have 10 exercises, so the end is near. All right. Exercise 6. Going to open it up, hopefully. And let's go back and look at what were we asked to do in this. Where'd it go? There we are. Okay. The goal here is to create a map. So we're going to create points, 5 different points, and those 5 different points are 5 different locations on Earth. So 5 different places. We're going to go in, we're going to put in the dots right where those locations are. So it's something new to us, but something that if you're building, for example, a tourist map, like that option 1 of project 1, and it asks you to locate certain landmarks, well, certain landmark might not be in the ArcGIS. You'd have to put that actually on the map. So it's the same idea as far as what we're going to do here. At the same time, what we're going to do is we're going to create 5 different maps that are 5 different projections. And then when you create those 5 different maps, you'll see the those 5 different places, you'll see all kinds of things change in terms of distortion, size, all kinds of things, direction. And then from there, as you can see, this particular activity, this assignment, it's going to be really heavy in terms of you looking at what you're seeing, looking at your maps, and answering questions about it. So I'll come back to that, but that's just kind of give you kind of a where we're going with this particular part, is we're just trying to put points on a map, and then from there, once we put the points on a map, see how those then look over a course of different projections. Here goes nothing. All right, so let's get to here. Okay, so you can play around with the base maps. As before, base map right here is in terms of where you can find that. So it's the 4 little squares. And we can do different things, choose different options. You guys have already done that. I'm just going to go ahead and start with the imagery label here. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's add stuff to the map. First thing I want to kind of identify, so before I forget it, is this locate, the binoculars. So I just make sure I just want to get that there because we're going to come back to that and I'll probably forget about it if I don't. All right, so we have to create points, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, we're doing real big stuff here. We're adding stuff, we're creating stuff to a map. So of course it wouldn't be really that easy, And of course, it's going to take a few steps to make it official. And so that's kind of the process that we have to go through. Whenever you're creating stuff on a map, there is a bit more steps than meets the eye. All right, so let's go ahead and add this. So we need to find our catalog. So let's do our catalog pane. So I like to reset my panes for mapping. Now get my catalog. Go down to my folders to my exercise 6 geodatabase. Now that's something I haven't talked too much about in this course, the GIS course, although I'm not teaching it next fall. I'm sure they will be teaching about it there. That's something that is more kind of a nice way to think about how it's like a container for all of our geo information, or a particular folder, so to speak. Not going to go too much more into that. All right, so if you go ahead and you right-click on the geodatabase, you see New Feature Class. Now, feature class is kind of, think of it like things that are in common. So obviously, roads aren't in common with intersections. Roads are lines, intersections are points. So if I'm thinking about a feature class, roads, they're going to be, their whole geometry, their whole everything is different than intersections. One is a line, and the other is a point. So those are two different things. And okay, we'll think about, well, they're both networks, right? They both have to do with roads, but they're two different feature classes. And so when we think about feature classes, that's one way to think about it. Also, as I probably introduced way back when, we have something called lines, points, and polygons. And that's where you can determine the type of whatever you're adding to the map. But whatever you do, they have to be the same. So we're doing points in this case. So in this case, this feature class, they're all points. You can't have a feature class be some points, some lines, and whatever. At least I don't know if you can. That'd be far out. There's some kind of different things here. This is multi-point, point. This is, you think, well, why are we not using multi-point today? Because multi-point is something when we think about one particular event in which it has numerous points. So we could say like the July 16th tornado, severe thunderstorm event, and then have a map of all the lightning strikes from that one event. So that one event would have all those individual dots that were all part of that one event. So it's multiple features, but one thing, one tornado, one severe storm event. Or you could say maybe bird sightings. Bird sightings for a certain bird would be just individual dots for that one bird. Here what we're doing is we're doing 5 separate places, but they're all part of this one file, this one layer that we're working with. All right, way too much information, but that's all right. So we'll call these places. And these are points. And if I was doing z-values, would be then if I was doing off the height elevation. Here's where you can then add all kinds of fields. And so this is where you can add data. So previously we've had all those tables and all that stuff already given to us. Here's where you can then add the stuff. So you can add its location. You can add a timestamp. You can add text. You can add other information beyond what we're just doing here. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and do it. Object ID. Let's click here to add a field, and that field is essentially this name. Let's see what happens, and that's a text. All right. So this is our first time playing around with coordinate systems. So I want to introduce you to this now. So this is where it asks our spatial reference. If you have a data set, or if you're working with something which there is a known data set. So let's say already on here was an old geological map from 1952. Well, they're going to be using a certain spatial reference, certain coordinate system, certain everything. So essentially what you would then have to do is, okay, this new data, I want it to be associated with that. Because if I'm putting dots essentially on today's stuff, it won't match up. There'll be what we call misalignment. So this is our first step, our first foray into messing around with this stuff. So what they do, now this is what's nice about, maybe I bashed on ArcGIS too much, maybe I praised them too much, who knows. But they have gotten a whole lot better in terms of making this a whole lot easier. It used to be, this was the biggest challenge. And it was like matching, like, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Just matching puzzle pieces. It'd be it was nightmare. Now, it's usually, they pretty much do it for you. So I'm just going to, and of course they don't make it really easy to see here. But I just say whatever their default is, usually is good. And then keep on clicking next because we're so excited to make dots on a map. So it's creating a feature class. And we now see that in the contents pane. Let's go ahead and change the symbology. There shouldn't be anything on the map, but I'm just going to change it to something big and gaudy so that when we do create dots, we'll be able to see it. All right. So now we've got to start adding the dots. So we've got the layer. Let's start adding them. So to do that, go to Edit, and then Create. So Edit, Create. And over here in the Create Features pane, we should see now places being added. So this is then where we can then go, and you have to click on that. So I clicked on the places. So notice everything popped up there. It wasn't until I clicked on places. You would not see that unless I did that. And you'll have different options here, different things. We're just creating a point. So now we're ready to drop that point. We just got to find our place. All right, so let's go back to, let's see, our Find button. Get our binoculars out. Oh, I don't have them written, so I'm going to have to go back and forth. I know one of them is Jakarta. So you can either go find Jakarta on the map, or you can just have this nice locate button. And you can see here, I got two things I could do. I could drop it, which I'm just going to go ahead and do now. I'm just going to drop it. And open the attribute table. We should see that. And so I'm going to give it the name Jakarta. And hit that check there just to say, yep, I'm going to make it official. And I wasn't patient, so I hit it again. Okay, so there's 1 point. Now let's go to our next place, which is all right. Oh, there they are. Okay, Canberra. We'll go to Canberra, which is the Jakarta, which is cool about Jakarta since we are geography. Jakarta is the it's on the island of Java, which is the most densely populated island in the world. And when I mean island, I mean real island, like big islands, most densely populated. Now we're going to Canberra, which is the world's largest urban slum. So Canberra, if we look at the aerial, is right there. This is the world's largest urban slum, conveniently located right next to a golf course. All right, so we'll go ahead and add in Canberra and make sure I do my check mark. All right, get out my binoculars. I'm now going to Station Creek, Antarctica. Is this a real place? Yeah, all right, it is. And this time, instead of adding the dot to the map, We'll see if they'll do it for me here. I got Station Creek, it was already geocoded, it was already on there. So it's one of those things where, hey, it's already there. Let's see if they'll add it to it. And add to feature class. Of course, it's not easy, so I should have just done a dot. Yeah, add it to places. Okay, that was easy. Good job, ArcGIS. Good job. All right, so save it. Give it a good check mark. And we've gotten all but 2. The next one is the Wrangel Island. It's definitely not what it's called there. That's in Russia. I don't know what it's called there. But it ain't called Wrangel. And we'll add a dot there. Wrangel. And the last one was that weird Funkin Lodge, which is in Longyearbyen. Take me there, and I know exactly where that place is. So I have this situation where I have this thing. I can't zoom in because I got this. If I zoom in, so go up here to explore, and now kind of get things off of there. And I believe. Right there's the lodge. You dot. Where is it? Come on. Oh well. That's close enough. And that's the Funkin Lodge. I didn't name it. All right, go up to Edit. Edit, and then Save. And that should save our dots. You also want to do the clear. You want to clear out everything. That'll also help clear everything out. So get rid of all the teal. Now, what's going on with that? Okay. All right, and then zoom to layer, and so we should see now. I don't. Oh, there you made that logo. I don't know what's the deal with that. That's where I got crazy. I got creative. I got cute and got things screwy. I should have just put the dot there instead of having it do all that for me. But anyhow, so now we've got our various dots. Go ahead and get rid of the attribute table so we can see what we're dealing with. And now the rest of this is, other than kind of I guess a homework check. Other than a homework check as far as making sure you're doing this by asking you to upload an image. Very simple, just follow the instructions there. From here, it's looking at these maps and then answering questions about these different locations, these different dots. How do they change as we change the projection? All right, so let's go ahead and insert 4 new maps. All I'm doing here is just to insert new map. Insert new map. And now map 0, map 1, map 2, map 3, map 4, those are our 5. See if I can half this here. All right, so here are the 5 different projections. Where do we find the projections? How do we change the projection? This is important as far as this part and why we're doing this. Okay, so if you look in the map over here in the ArcGIS, the map part, right-click on that and go down to Properties. you'll see one of the options is coordinate systems. Go ahead and click on coordinate systems. And it looks like they've got all kinds of, we got my favorite, unknown, then favorites, all kinds of ones. So, you'll come across limitless amounts. So this is where if you might have data from somebody else. So your buddy sends you some data, and you open it up, and it looks just bizarre, or maybe it's from Azerbaijan, some bizarre place, and you open it, and probably what's key there is it's probably the coordinate system. It's talking essentially in a different language. And so it's putting those dots and scattering those dots or scattering those lines on the map differently. And so here's where you then make those adjustments. Here's where you can change that. What's nice about this, once again, a whole lot easier than it was 5 years ago, is you can easily search for these. So I'm just going to, I guess I could copy and paste straight over, but Mercator, parentheses, world. And I hit that, and what's nice is it didn't really do anything. It didn't say, Andy, I just took care of that for you. You just have to just figure it out by this triangle, world, and see how it singled it out. All those options, it gave me exactly what I was looking for. And so then I will add that, apply that one to that map. I'm going to take this places. I'm going to right click on it in this layer, in this map 0 or map 1, map layer, I shouldn't say map, not map 1. Copy it and take it to map 1, paste it, and then go back up to map 1, right click, and do it all over again. Properties. And this time, the Robinson, probably Robinson, no, but Robinson, it sounds better. Did it do it? No, it didn't do it. Robinson. Okay, rejected. And so there's a few different Robinsons. Looks like Illinois got one. Wonder how that happened. Then there's the sphere base, where, like I said, here is asked specifically for the one parentheses world. Apply. And you're going to notice here different things happening to our dots. Once again, that one dot's missing because I got careless there and was being cute. And if I would have just put the dot where it's supposed to, like I did all the other ones, it would be there. There would be 5 dots. Just kind of, once again, a disclaimer. All right, keep on going. We'll copy, paste, go back up to map 2, change it to the Europe, Albers, equal, area, conic, and it's going to give me just that as an option. Map 3. All right. So I'm kind of, what was that, Lambert? Which one, Andrew? With the USA contiguous, I'll update that. Okay, so I'm not going to do the last one. Kind of get the idea here. What was the name of that one? USA contiguous. Okay, well, let's go ahead and do the second part. All right, so like I said, that part is about answering questions related to those different maps. And then all I'm going to ask you to do is go ahead and find another projection that's not one of these that you think is interesting. And then you'll just upload that. That's the homework check, essentially, along with answering the questions. Of course, this isn't homework. All right. Let's just go ahead and get a new one. Let's get a new map, new project. Yep, save all of our edits, of course. Save, yep. It was great. Enjoyed it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is take the data set that we already have beforehand, that Indy neighborhoods. And I think we found that, I believe, in the portal. We transferred into it. And then what we're going to do is then upload or add to it a simple Excel file. Just all it is a tab, or just a spreadsheet. All right, so what happened here? So, like I said, I always just go, get my view, reset my panes. I don't know what happened. I don't know what I did, but I did it. All right, so let's make a new map. Insert new map. Okay. All right, so here, once again, we can play around with the base map if you want, but it's of really no importance. Let's go get that data set. So once again, this is from the beginning of this lecture. I went to Open Indy portal and I downloaded an Excel file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that data, map, go back to map, and something very important function, adding data, and then make a super small thing. And it's right there. It's that little plus sign, add data. And this might be different than what you see. For me, this is different at home. So I don't know if this is a new update, but beforehand, XY table to point would have been an option amongst these. It was an option amongst these. Now you have to go from points from table. So they're making us do another step. This is new as of, I was doing this at 3 in the morning. So I don't know. Maybe it's just this device is different. I don't know, whatever. Anyhow, so XY table to point. And so we'll see that then in the geoprocessing pane pop up. So it's going to take a while. This is, for some reason, takes a long time to do this particular task. Just getting the menu ready. So this is, once again, whenever there's like a default, whenever ArcGIS kind of names something on its own, just let it be, say, okay, yeah, well, that's cool, good, and leave it. All right, so what we got is we're going to go get that table. And here's that table once again. And so we've got, this is great, the fact that it's already labeled latitude and longitude. But we would know logically, well, although you can have a latitude that is 86 degrees, you're not going to have one in which people are going to be living there. And so, we know that latitude and longitude, just by that, there's different ways in which latitude and longitude can be shown, which is a key thing, part of Online Lecture 6 is how we do that. But anyhow, so there's our table. There's our basic, simple idea where it maps a crime event. This is essentially the police officer putting in its thing, GPS, this is what hit, this is where it was, this is what happened, and that's all it is. And so then this is the table that we're staring at. Okay. Input table. We've got to go find that table. Home. Nope. Computer. Where did I put it? I didn't put it there? Ah, I wonder. Once again, GIS is a lot about just knowing where your files are. For better or for worse. Okay. So, get my input table. And there it is. .csv. Okay? And what's nice is this is, once again, intuitive. It figured out longitude and latitude. It did that for it. If I wanted it to be flipped or if that was wrong, I could change that. I would say, we could flip that around. Like I said, I could change the name, but whatever they're going to name it, I'm cool with. This is where you can play around with the system. And I do ask you to change it and see what happens. It's one of the questions. It's in your reflection. And so that's where you would then put in the wrong one. And I think I suggest the one to put in that's wrong. The one that I suggest to put in that's wrong is one that's often used for Indianapolis. So you're thinking, wait a minute, I'm going to use this one that's always used for Indianapolis. Well, you're going to get a situation where the Indianapolis crime data is going to be somewhere else in the world. And so that's your question there in the reflection is to tell me where in the world, let's go ahead. Where in the world did it put the Indianapolis data when choosing this coordinate system? So you put in the wrong one, where did it put the data? All right, and then you're going to undo that and do that the right way, which I'm going to do right now. And the running the GCS, WGS 1984, the default is the correct. Now, once again, this is so much better than it used to be. I used to have to tell ArcGIS which one. Now it just pretty much figures it out for me. There are some warnings. So it looks like maybe some things are null. Maybe some things that weren't recorded. That's common with big, huge data sets. Maybe things get put outside or get the latitude and longitude get put in wrong. Who knows? All the kind of crazy things could happen in the collection of thousands and thousands of dots. But here we have an example of point data. So what we have to do now is find out the number of crimes in different Indy neighborhoods. So this is an introduction to a basic thing that we do in cartography, in GIS, and that's something called a spatial join. So let's go ahead and find those neighborhoods. We found those earlier. If you recall, way back when, we had the data in the portal. Take me to the portal. And it was Indy neighborhoods. And there was the official one there, I think Indy GIS. It's searching still. Oh, there it is, right there. So Indy neighborhoods. And I'm going to add that to the map. And so it's added nicely there behind. So I don't need the topographic map. I don't need that hill shit anymore. So essentially what we're doing now is we've got those polygons. All we're trying to do is find out the number of dots inside each of these polygons. And of course, we then sort them. The polygon with the highest number of dots, crimes, is not really the winner, but is the answer to the question, which neighborhood had the highest number of crimes in 2021. All right, so this is where we do a spatial join. So if we right-click on one of our two layers, there's a joins and relates, add spatial join. At spatial, and here the target features, you might think at first, well, our target features will be the default, because that's what Andy says, or Dr. Baker does. He says that you need to, whatever the default, well, in this case, the default's wrong. The target features are our neighborhoods. Target's not the right word. I wish they would use a different word. Think of those like our cookie cutters. It's our cookie cutter features. I don't know, maybe a better way to think of it. And we're going then to join it with those points. And what I'm asking you to do is to say, take those neighborhoods, and I want kind of you to collect all the ones that contained within each neighborhood. So it's just collecting all the dots within. And everything else should be okay. And it should create a new layer. Oh, it didn't create a new layer. That's fine. Let's go ahead and take a look at our attribute table. Oh, wrong one. Attribute table of the neighborhoods. Okay, so it was the neighborhood. What I did is I right-clicked on the attribute table in the neighborhoods. And if we go over, there's the join count column. You would then assort that one. I'm going to sort it ascending and find which one was the least crime. The least crime was Crow's Nest, wherever that is. I should know my Indianapolis geography. It's way up there. Crow's Nest. Right there, they only had one crime in that particular one. So I just joined the data and answered the inverse of the question. Which neighborhood had the highest number of crimes? I found that which one had the lowest. Of course, you would just sort it descending or go to the other end to find out which one. All right. That is exercise 6. Questions? You guys have anything? You guys, you're my diehards. Yep. Cool. Well, hopefully this helps.